Good morning, children. In the last science class, I had taken the lesson weather, climate and adaptations of animals to climate. What we had studied in the last class? Only about the weather. We had studied only about the weather. So what is weather? The day-to-day condition of the atmosphere at a place with respect to the temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind, speed, etc. is called as the weather at that place. Then the weather is generally not the same on any 2 days and a week after week. Then we had studied about, we had noted down the weather data of a week. Isn't it? Maximum, minimum temperature, then humidity, then rainfall. Then next, the maximum temperature of the day occurs generally in the afternoon, while the minimum temperature occurs in the early morning. This also we had studied. Then the times of sunrise and sunset also change during the year. All the changes in the weather are driven by the sun. Then we had studied about the meteorological department. What does this department do? It will collect the data on temperature, wind and makes the weather prediction. Then we had studied about the rainfall. Rainfall is measured by an instrument called as rain gauge. Then we had studied about the graph showing the variation of maximum temperature during August 3rd to 9th. Isn't it? There only we had calculated or we studied about the thermometers. That is how the maximum and the minimum temperatures are recorded by the maximum and the minimum thermometers. So now let us study about the climate. Okay. So now what is climate? Climate of a place is defined as the average weather condition at a particular place over a long period of time, say 25 to 30 years or more. Climate varies from place to place. So here climate of a place, what it is defined as the average weather condition. So they'll see the weather condition of that particular area for 25 to 30 years and then only they say what type of climate that area has. So climate varies from place to place also. So what is climate? Climate of a place is defined as the average weather condition at a particular place over a long period of time, say 25 to 30 years or more. Climate varies from place to place. Yes, sometimes in Gulbarga we have always, most of the time we have hot climate, isn't it? But in other places it is not like that. During the day it will be hot, but at least in the evening they'll have some cool breeze and all like that. They'll have the climate. So the climate of the places is not same, it is different. Then now let us understand about the climate. So here is a table 7.2 and 7.3. So one is of Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar and Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala. So now let us study about the information of the climate in these two places. So now here you see mean temperature, daily minimum, daily maximum temperature, mean total rainfall. So there you will have the rainfall also every day usually. Not like here, we have in the rainy season only the rainfall, isn't it? So now here this is the month of January. So what is this thing? Daily minimum temperature is 2.3 to 4.7 and the rainfall is 57. Isn't 57? Yeah, it is 57. Then we have February. It is minus 0.6 to 7.8 and the rainfall is 65. March 3.8 and the maximum is 13.6 and the rainfall is 99. April it is 7.7 and it is 19.4 and the rainfall is 88. In the month of May, 10.7 is the minimum temperature and maximum is 23.8 and the rainfall is 72. Can you compare now in Gulbarga how we will have the weather in the May and all? The temperature goes up to 40, 45 also, isn't it? But there the temperature is minimum is 10.7 and maximum is 23.8. Then in the month of June it is 14.7 minimum and 29.2 and the rainfall is 37. July 8.2 and 30 maximum temperature and 49% of rainfall. Then August 17.5, 29.7 and 70% of rainfall. 12.9, 27.8 and 33 mm. Rainfall is 33 mm here. October 6.1, it is minimum and maximum is 21.9 and the rainfall is 36 millimeter. November 0.9 is the minimum in the month of November and maximum is 14.7 and the rainfall is 27 mm. December minus 1.6, 8.2 is the maximum and 43 mm is the rainfall. So this is the information about the climate of Srinagar which comes in Jammu and Kashmir. Now let us study the information about the climate in Kerala, that is in Thiruvananthapuram. So here minimum in the month of January 22.2 and maximum is 31.5 and the rainfall is 23 mm. February again 22, maximum 31.9, rainfall 24. So every day here also they have rainfall and here in Jammu Kashmir also they have rainfall. Then in the month of March 24.1, 32.6 and the rainfall is 40. Then April it is 24.9 and maximum is 32.6 and the rainfall is 117 mm. May 24.7, then 31.6, 230 mm rainfall. In the month of June 23.5, 29.7 and the rainfall is 321 mm. July 23.1, 29.2 and 227 mm. August 23.2, 29.4 is the maximum temperature and the rainfall is 138 mm. September 23.3, then maximum is 30 and the rainfall is 175. October 23.3, maximum is 29.9 and the rainfall is 282. November 23.1, 30.3 maximum and the rainfall is 185. December 22.6, 31 is the maximum and the rainfall is 66. So can you see the difference here in the climate? Here minus 2.3 and here it is 22.3 and it is 4.7 and here it is 31.5. So here you can see the changes in the climate that I wanted to show you. So here how is the climate and here how it is: minus 0.6, 7.8 and 65. Here in the month of February the minimum temperature is 28.8 and here maximum is 31.9 and the rainfall is 24 mm. So like this, when we compare, there is a difference in the climate in Jammu Kashmir as well as in the Kerala. So the above two examples provide information regarding the climatic conditions at two different places in India. So these two different places are in India. We can easily see the difference in the climate of Jammu Kashmir and Kerala. We can see that Kerala is very hot and wet in comparison to Jammu and Kashmir, which has moderately hot and wet climate for a part of the year. Yeah. So now from this table what we understand the climatic condition of the two places, that is Jammu Kashmir and Kerala. So what type of climate is there in Jammu and Kashmir? In Jammu and Kashmir it is moderately hot and wet climate for the part of the year. Then in Kerala it is very hot and wet. That is the difference between both the places' climate. Similarly, data for the western region of India, for example Rajasthan, will show that the temperature is high during most part of the year. Yeah, you might have heard, isn't it? Rajasthan, it is a very hot place. The whole of the year the temperature will be high there. During no season it will be less. So always it is hot. But during winter, which lasts only for few months, the temperature is quite low. So in the hot season it is too hot, but in the winter it is for a few months the temperature is quite low. It will be low also. This region receives very little rainfall. Already you have studied. This is a desert area, isn't it? So it will receive very little rainfall. This is the tropical desert climate. So this is what? Typical desert climate. So what is this? Typical desert climate they have. It is hot and dry. So desert climate, it will be hot and dry. The northeastern India receives rain from a major part of the year. So in the northern India, they receive rain for the major part. Means in most of the time in the whole year, they'll be receiving the rain. Therefore, we can say that the climate of northeast is wet. So every time it rains there, isn't it? So what type of climate they will have? Northeast, it will be when it is raining, so it will be always wet there. Then effect of sun in change of climate. So the angle at which, now you can see this is a globe. Here is a north pole and here is the south pole. So now let us study about effect of sun in changing of climate. So here this is a globe. This is a north pole, this is a south pole, and here the temperature is constant of 23.5 degrees Celsius. So towards the pole, the sun's rays hit the earth at an oblique angle and are spread over a large area, diffusing their energy. At and near the equator, sunlight hits earth directly, delivering more heat and light at any given spot. So now here, the effect of sun in changing of climate. The angle at which sunlight strikes the earth varies by location. So here sunlight, when it will strike, it will be varying by the location, time, etc. due to the earth's orbit around the sun and its rotation round its tilted axis. At and near the equator, so here at and near the equator, low latitudes, the sun rays hit the earth's surface almost vertically, almost all year long, causes hot climate. So when the sun rays directly falls on the earth, then we feel very hot. At the poles, here these poles, north pole and south pole, they are the high latitudes. So the sunlight hardly reaches and causes cold climate. So this near the poles, hardly the sunlight will be reaching the earth. So it hardly reaches and causes the cold climate. So what we understood from this effect of sun in changing of climate. When we are near to the equator, when the sun rays falls directly on the earth, we feel very hot. But near the ends, that is north pole and south pole, what happens? They have high latitudes. The sunlight hardly will reach the earth and it will causes the cold climate. Now next let us study about climate and adaptation. So climate has a profound effect on all living organisms. Yes, now we are adapted to Gulbarga climate, isn't it? Though it is every time hot and all, but people, those who come from other places and all, know they feel it difficult to stay here, isn't it? They talk about the climate, it is too hot, they tell this. Adaptation can be defined as the modification of all living organism on its parts in order to make it more fit for survival under changed environmental conditions, or we can say that the adjustment shown in structure, physiology, behavior, etc. of an organism to changed environmental conditions is referred to as adaptation. So now we are adapted to this type of life, isn't it? Though it is hot, though it is cold, we are adjusting, and the type of food, everything will be adjusting. But when we go to some other places, there what happens? Do we adjust? A few days we'll have a problems. We cannot adjust to that climate, that type of food, that type of adjustment. Everything there will be a change, isn't it? That everything will be new. So that is called as the adaptation. So adaptation can be defined as a modification of all living organism on its parts in order to make it more fit for survival under changed environmental conditions, or we can say that the adjustment shown in structure, physiology, behavior, etc. of an organism to changed environmental conditions is referred to as adaptation. So now we are adapted to this climate, isn't it? Now supposing if we go to Delhi and all there, what happens? How is the climate there? It is too cold, isn't it? It will be usually cold there, they say. So what happens? We cannot adjust to that environment, that type of food, everything. So what we do, we try to adjust it. The people who are living in other countries, going from here to other countries also will face the problems for few days. Then they'll adjust to that environment, isn't it? Take an outline map of the world, mark the polar regions in blue, similarly mark the tropical regions in red. So this is a activity which you have to do it. What you have to do? You have to take the which map? World map, and mark the polar regions in which color? Blue color, and the tropical regions in the red color. Now, as the examples of adaptations of animals to climatic conditions, we discuss only animals living in polar regions and tropical rainforests. So now we know what is adaptation. Adjusting to the, what is adaptation? Adjusting and surviving in those particular places, isn't it? So now we discuss only the animals which are living in the polar regions and the tropical forest. About those animals, how they are adjusted to those climatic conditions, we'll study them. Which animals? Which are living in polar regions and tropical rainforest. As the same suggests, the polar regions are situated near the poles. Already we saw North Pole and South Pole in the globe, just now I showed you. So now first the polar regions, where are they situated? Near the poles, that is North Pole and the South Pole. Some well-known countries that belong to the polar region. So which countries come under the polar regions are Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Alaska in USA, and Siberian region of Russia. So these are the countries that belong to the polar regions. Examples of some countries where the tropical rainforests are found. So I told you we are going to study the adaptation of animals to the climatic condition, only those animals which are living in the polar regions and in the tropical rainforest. So now we have studied about the polar regions. Where are they situated? Near the poles, that is North Pole and South Pole. So which countries will belong to the polar regions? Just now I told you Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Alaska in USA, and Siberian region of Russia. Now examples of some countries where the tropical rainforests are found. So they are India, Malaysia, Indonesia, Brazil, Republic of Congo, Kenya, Uganda, and Nigeria. So here you find the tropical forest. There Canada, Greenland and all, you find the polar regions. Now let us study first about the polar regions. What are polar regions? Polar regions present an extreme climate. So these regions will present what? Extreme climate. These regions are covered with the snow and it is very cold for most part of the year. So polar regions, here the climate is very cold and it is covered with the snow. So always it is very cold for most part of the year, that is almost whole of the year. For 6 months the sun does not set at the poles, while 6 months the sun does not rise. So here what happens? There won't be any sunrise and sunset for 6 months. In winters the temperature can be low as -37 degrees Celsius. Animals such as polar bear, seals, penguins, many types of fishes, muskmelon, oxen, reindeer. Now let us study about the polar regions. The polar regions present an extreme climate. These regions are covered with snow and it's very cold for most part of the year. For 6 months the sun does not set at the poles, while for the other 6 months the sun does not rise. In winters the temperature can be as low as -37 degrees Celsius. Animals such as polar bear, seals, penguins, many types of fishes, musk oxen, reindeer, foxes, birds, etc. are adapted to live in these severe cold conditions. So polar regions, which animal we are going to, how, what type of climate they will have there? First of all, it will be covered with snow, and it is very cold for the whole year. Very few time it is not cold, and for the 6 months they does not see the sunset at the poles and nor the sunrise. So in winters the temperature is low, that is about -37°C. So animals such as, which animals can live in these regions are polar bear, seals, penguins, and many types of fishes. Then reindeer, foxes, birds, they are adapted to live in this severe cold conditions. So these animals are able to live in the cold, severe cold conditions. So now among that, let us study about the polar bear. So polar bear is a carnivorous bear. Carnivorous means animals which eat the flesh of other animals, whose native range lies largely with the Arctic Circle. So polar bear is a carnivorous bear, and whose native, where it lies, it lives largely near the Arctic Circle. So it is a carnivorous and a native of largely it lives near the Arctic circles, near that regions. Okay, then how it is adapted to the climatic conditions. So here polar bears have white fur. You can see in the picture here, this is a polar bear and it is having a fur which camouflages it with the white snow. So its skin, that is the fur as well as the snow, both are white in color, so they are same, it looks same. Body of polar bear is covered with a dense fine fur that traps air to keep them warm. So it is covered with the fur, fine fur. This is a fur. We had studied in the lesson fiber to fabric, isn't it? That these fur will keep the animals warm, isn't it? So here they have the fine fur that will trap the air and keep them warm. Polar bears have two thick layers of fur and a fat layer under it. So it is not only having a thick layer of fur and it has a fat layer also under it. Polar bear possesses wide and large paws having long, curved and sharp claws. So can you see here, it is having like this. It is having a wide range of paws having long, curved and sharp claws, so that it is able to walk in the snow. Polar bear goes for swimming to cool itself on warm days. So whenever it feels hot, usually it is always there, it is cold, but still when it feels hot or warm, what it does, it goes for swimming. For what? To cool itself. Skin of polar bear under the fur is actually black in color. So this is white up, but inside this there is a black color fur also. Strong claws of the polar bear help in digging the snow. So it has a claws here, these like nails, isn't it? They have to their legs. So with the help of that, it is able to dig the snow. Polar bear has a strong sense of smell to locate its enemy and its prey. So it is having a sense of smell also. What it does, it can sense that whether any enemy or its prey is there, means other animals to eat, or any enemy is there which can attack him. Then the next point is the polar bear finds the seals breathing holes in the eyes and waits patiently. So it finds what? Breathing holes in the eyes and waits patiently. The next region why it is adapted to polar regions is the polar bear's huge teeth help in tearing its prey apart. So its teeth are very sharp, so it can eat up the animals very quickly. Polar bear undergoes hibernation. So it undergoes what? Hibernation. So hibernation means what here? It goes like camouflages, isn't it? So polar bear undergoes hibernation. So what do you mean by hibernation? So hibernation means state or condition of inactivity of an animal or a plant spending the winter in a long snooze, especially for the purpose of rest. For example, amphibians and reptiles. So you might have seen lizards. In the summer they will be too much, and in the winter and other seasons what they do, they'll be under the shelter, they doesn't come out much. So like that it is, they'll be inactive, spending the winter in the rest, for the purpose of rest. That is the meaning of hibernation. Now physical activities on warm days necessitate cooling, so the polar bear goes for swimming. Already we know when it feels hot it goes for swimming. It is a good swimmer, so it is also a good swimmer. Its paws are wide and large, which help it not only to swim well but also walk with the ease in the snow. So here its paws means legs are wide and large, which will help it not only to swim well but also walk with the ease in the snow. So with the help of these paws it is able to swim as well as walk in the snow. While swimming underwater, it can close its nostrils and can remain underwater for long durations. So this animal, that is polar bear, what it does is it can swim under the water. What it does, it closes its nostrils and can remain underwater for a long durations, whereas we cannot remain, isn't it? After a little while you come up and take the breathe, and then again you all go inside, isn't it? But polar bear, it can remain underwater for long durations. It has a strong sense of smell so that it can catch its prey for food. Already I told you, it has a strong sense of smell, so it will catch its prey or the animals for the food, and it will know about the enemy also who is coming to attack it. We can understand the adaptations of polar bears with the help of the flow chart shown in figure 7.3. So till now we only read how it is adapted. Now with the help of flow chart, let us study how it is adapted to the polar regions. So first, polar regions, what it is, it has a layer of fat under its skin. So then the next is, the fat insulates its body from cold and keeps it warm. So what is the function of this fat? The fat insulates its body from cold and keeps it warm. Then the next one is, these keep it warm in the cold weather. It has 2 thick layers of fur, so that will keep it warm in the cold weather. Then predator and prey are unable to see it. Why they are unable to see it? Because it is the same color as the snow. The white fur not only easily visible in the snowy white background. So it is having the white fur, so it is not easily visible in the snowy white background. It has a very strong sense of smell, so it helps the bear to locate and catch its prey. Already we know it has a strong sense of smell. So what this smell will help him to locate and catch its prey. It has long, curved and sharp claws like this. These claws, these are called legs here. So it is having the sharp claws, so these will help it to walk on the ice. So this is a diagram showing how it is polar bear is adapted to the polar regions. Okay. Now the next one is penguin. Now already we read about polar bear. The next animal which is adapted to the polar region is penguins. Penguins are aquatic flightless birds living almost exclusively in the southern hemisphere, especially in Antarctica. So this animal is aquatic, means it lives in the water. Flightless birds living almost means it doesn't fly. Flightless it is. Flightless birds living almost exclusively. Where it lives in the southern hemisphere, especially in the Antarctica. And where was the polar bear? Arctic Circle. This is Antarctica. Then how it is adapted to the polar regions? Let us see. A penguin's body. Here you can see this is a penguin. So penguin's body is white on the front and black on the back. So front it is white, back it is black. In winter this gives it a camouflage. Penguins have a thick layer of subcutaneous fat, thick skin and dense feather cover. So this also is having a thick layer and it has a fat also. Then the thick skin and the dense feather will cover it. Feather, these will cover it. Penguins live in group. So penguins will live in group. They huddle together to keep themselves warm. So they gather together so that they'll keep themselves warm. Penguins are also good swimmers with a streamlined body to reduce resistance. So even fish is streamlined, isn't it? So like that. So penguins are also good swimmers with a streamlined body to reduce the resistance. Heavy and solid bones make penguins heavier. So it is having the bones, solid bones. So that will make the body of the penguin heavy to help them to dive underwater for food. So this heavy and the solid bones make the penguins heavier to help them to dive in the underwater for their food. So as it is aquatic, it has to get the food from the water only, isn't it? So how it is, heavy and solid bones will make the penguins heavier so that they'll keep them to dive underwater for the food. So they get the food from the water itself, under the water. Like polar bear, penguins are also good swimmers. Their bodies are streamlined and their feet have webs, make them good swimmers. So here, this is 7.5. These are the feats of penguin. Other animals living in the polar regions are many types of fishes, musk oxen, reindeers, foxes, seals, whales and birds. So we have studied about only two animals, that is polar bear and the penguins. One is aquatic and another one is which lives in the snow. So here, other than that, other animals living in the polar regions are fishes, musk oxen, reindeers, foxes, seals, whales and birds. It is to be noted that while fish can remain under cold water for long, birds must remain warm to survive. They migrate to warmer regions when the winter sets in. They come back after the winter is over. So here it is said that it can be noted that fish can remain underwater in any season, isn't it? In the cold season also and in the hot season also, it lives only in the water. It is adapted only to live in the water. But birds, they are not like that. Birds must remain warm, isn't it? When it is hot, they can be in the water, but when it is cold, they cannot stay in the water. So what they do, they go to the warm places to survive. So where it is warm, to that places they fly away. They migrate, means moving from one place to another. So they migrate to warmer regions when the winter sets. So when the winter is about to set, these birds will move to the warmer places to survive or to remain alive. They come back after the winter is over. So again, when the winter is over, again they come back to their place. You know probably that India is one of the destinations of many of these birds. So India is one of the destination, means where we can find many birds coming and living. You must have seen or heard about the Siberian crane that comes from Siberia to the places like Bharatpur in Rajasthan and Sultanpur in Haryana, and some wetlands of northeast and some other parts of India. So as India is one of the destination of many, means many birds are found here, they come and stay. So some of the birds like Siberian crane that comes from Siberia to the places where it comes to Bharatpur in Rajasthan and Sultanpur in Haryana, and some wetlands of northeast and some other parts of India. So these birds are coming from the Siberia and all to India as they have the destination here, means they come here to live for some time. Again they migrate back to their places. So now here you can see the reindeers and foxes. These are reindeers and these are the foxes. These are also the animals which live in the polar regions. Here these are the seals and these are the whales. Can you see in the picture? Here are the seals and here are the whales. Then these are the musk oxen. Then now we have studied about the animals. Now let us study about the birds. So now here is a Siberian crane and Arctic tern. So I told you the seasonal movement of the complete population of animal from one area to another is termed as migration. So what is migration? The seasonal movement means from one season, summer if they spend here, then winter will be spent in some other place. So complete, they'll move from one area to another and they survive. So this is known as migration. The birds in polar regions cannot tolerate extreme cold of winter. Therefore they migrate. So animals will live there only, but birds cannot live it. So the birds in the polar region, they cannot tolerate that much of cold of the winter. So what they do? They migrate to the warmer places. The Siberian crane is very distinctive member of the crane family with regard to its structure, home, ground and behavior. The Siberian cranes nest in the western Siberia and migrate to India during extreme winter conditions of Siberia. So this Siberian crane, what it does? It cannot live in the very cold region in the winter season. So what it does? It comes to India during the winter condition and again it goes back when the winter is over. Did you know some migratory birds travel as much as 15,000 kilometers to escape the extreme climatic conditions at home? So how many kilometers they migrate? 15,000 kilometers. Generally they fly high where the wind flow is helpful and the cold conditions allow them to disperse the heat generated by their flight muscles. But how these birds travel to the same place year after year is still a mystery. So year after year, how they are going to move, still it is not known. It seems that these birds have built-in sense of direction and know in which direction to travel. Yeah, even in the evening we can see, isn't it, how the birds will be moving. All in a group, they'll be going in one direction itself. If one is left behind, again that also will be moving. Some birds probably use landmarks to guide them. So how will they know which direction they have to go is? Some of the birds will use the landmarks to guide them. Many birds may be guided by the sun during the day and the stars at night. So how are they guided? By the sun. During the day, they guide the sun during the day and the stars at night. So by seeing the stars at night, they'll be seeing their way, which way to go. This is some evidence that birds may use the magnetic field of the earth to find the direction, or some birds may use the magnetic field also to find the direction. And it is not only birds that migrate. Mammals, many types of fish and insects are also known to migrate seasonally in search of more hospitable climates. So not only the birds will migrate from one place to another, even the mammals and even the fishes, insects, all, even we human beings also, isn't it? If we don't have, if we are transferred and all, don't you move? Your parents, you might have seen moving from one place to another place. Like that, they move from one place to another for their food, shelter, for everything. They go from one place to another. Now, how this Siberian crane is adapted? The Siberian crane must keep its body warm to survive in winter. In the picture, you can see the Siberian crane. So during winter, it migrates to far away warmer places. Siberian cranes come to places in India like Bharatpur in Rajasthan and Sultanpur in Haryana to escape from extreme winter in Siberia. Already I told you this. Then the tropical rainforest. The tropical region has generally a hot climate. Now we have studied about the cold climate. Now let us study about the hot climate. So the tropical regions has generally a hot climate because of its locations around the equator. Even in the coldest month, the temperature is generally higher than about 15 degrees Celsius. During hot summer, the temperature may cross up to 40 degrees Celsius. Days and nights are almost equal in length. The major types of animals living in the rainforests are monkeys, apes, gorillas, tigers, elephants, leopard, lizards, snakes, birds and insects. So here the tropical region, actually the climate is hot because of its location near the equator. I showed you know why it will be hot and why it will be cold near the this thing in the globe. I showed you near the North Pole and South Pole it is cold, near to the equator it is hot. So even in the coldest month the temperature is generally high than about, so in the cold season also it is 15 degrees Celsius, and in the summer at least it may cross up to 40 degrees Celsius. So what happens here, days and nights are almost equal in length. The major types of animals living in the rainforest, so here which animals are living in the rainforest are monkey, apes, gorillas, tigers, elephants, leopard, lizard, snakes and insects. So arboreal animals. You might have read about the terrestrial, aquatic, arboreal animals. Terrestrial animals are those which live on the land. Then aquatic animals which live in the water. Then arboreal animals. Now let us study about the arboreal animals. So arboreal animals, where do they live? They live on the trees. So many animals in the tropical rainforest are adapted to live in trees. These are called as arboreal animals. You can see they live on the trees. Monkeys have, for example, monkeys have a long and prehensile tail. For grasping tree branches, their hands and feet are also modified. So have you seen a monkey jumping from one branch of the tree to other? Why it is jumping? It is adapted to that type of living. So it has a long and prehensile tail for jumping from one tree branch to the another, and its hands and feet are also modified for it. Means it is able to jump from one branch to the another branch of the tree. Then the next one is red-eyed tree frog has developed sticky pads on its feet to help it to climb trees on which it lives. So here you can see this is a red-eyed tree frog. So it has developed sticky pads. You can see this, it will stick like that on its feet to help it to climb the trees on which it lives. As there is a competition for food, some animals are adapted to get food not easily reachable. So when there are animals, there will be a competition for the, when more animals are there, there will be a competition for the food. So some animals are adapted to get the food and some are not easily getting the food. A striking example is that of the bird toucan, which possesses a long, large beak. This helps a toucan to reach the fruits on the branches which are otherwise too weak to support its weight. So as there is a competition for food, some animals, they'll get the food easily. They are adapted to get. But some it is not easily available. They have to struggle. So like that, such example of the bird is toucan. So what it does, it has a long, large beak. You might have seen the birds having a beak. So this helps the toucan to reach the fruits on the branches which are otherwise too weak to support its weight. So with the beak only, it takes its fruits from the branches and eat. Here is a toucans. Toucans are brightly, here this is a toucan. Can you see its beak? This is called the beak. Toucans are brightly colored birds with a long, large and colorful beaks. They make their nests in tree hollows and holes excavated by other animals. They are primarily frugivorous, that is fruit-eating animals. Fruit-eating birds, but also prey upon insects and small reptiles. So toucans are which color? Bright colored birds. What they have? Long, large and colorful beaks. This, it is a colorful bird. They make their nest in the tree hollows. So here like this tree hollows, they'll make their nest. Then they are primarily frugivorous, means what? They eat only the fruits, but also prey upon, other than fruits, they eat the insects and also the small reptiles. So now here I'll stop this lesson. Let us continue in the next class. All please read the lesson and keep it. Okay. Thank you.